cluttered garage. I'm really glad you're here. A place where we can laugh and talk and days are filled with cheer. The clouds and sun may come and go, but one thing's always clear. Welcome back, my friend. You know I'm really glad you're here. Yeah.
Hey, welcome back, my friends. I am really glad you're here. Welcome to live stream number 181. It's November 4th, 2024, and I am really excited to have the guest that we have here tonight. If you are new to the live stream, we talk about tractors, gardening, outdoor projects, life in the country, some DIY stuff, but that's really what it's about. So I do want to mention, if it's your first time here, this is an interactive live stream. So if you're watching live, please say hi in the live chat, in the comment section. We'd like to welcome you to the live chat. Let me know how you found the channel. Was it on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok? Because you can find the channel anywhere if you look hard enough. But yeah, let us know what brought you here tonight. We do this every Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., just 1 hour every Monday. It's a good time to get together and have fun. Well, but let me tell you about tonight's show. And this is going to be pretty quick because I want to make sure we have as much time as possible to talk to our guest, Lee Klancher, tonight. So about tonight's show, well, we've got Lee Klancher from Octane Press joining us. He's a photographer, an author, a publisher, maybe not in that specific order, but he does all those things and some more things too. And we had Lee on about a year and a half ago when he had released his latest book at the time, Farm All Century. Lee's been busy with a new book, and this one sounds extra exciting. So we're going to bring Lee on and talk about that. How about now? How about now we just bring Lee on and start talking? Hey, Lee Klancher.
Hey, Ed. How you doing tonight?
Excellent. Thanks for being here tonight. I really appreciate you making some time for us.
It's great to be here. Always, I really enjoyed this last time. The interactive stuff is really fun.
It's a good time, and I do want to mention to the folks watching that again, this is interactive. So if you have a question or a comment for Lee or for myself or for the other folks watching, just enter your question in the live chat. We like to use this format: the word question followed by your question. That kind of helps it stand out. So that's how we do it, and we'll be looking at the live chat and pulling out some questions as we go through. So thanks for mentioning that, Lee. So gosh, as I said, we chatted about a year and a half ago. You had just, I think, published Farm All Century, had just come out or was just coming out, and you haven't been sitting on your hands since then, have you?
No, I haven't. This was kind of a torrid pace. I'll tell you, next fall I might take that one off, but this was something that came up. I really wanted to do something quick and narrative, a little different, and this came together really beautifully, and so we're like, here we are.
Well, we are going to talk about that, talk about this book. I do want to give a little information about you, and you certainly could fill in where you like, but this is from your bio, from your website. But in reading that, I know that you were raised in Wisconsin. As a child, you loved books, you loved motorcycles. You attended the University of Minnesota. You studied science and journalism. You became an editor in the book industry. Also a freelance photographer. And I know that in the video that you have on your website, you shared that in 2002, you had kind of an epiphany moment when you were at the Baja in California doing a dual sport run. And you decided that you wanted to use your skills as a photographer and an editor and tell stories for the rest of your life. And since that time, you founded the Octane Press in 2010. And you have published many, many books. I looked at your page and I looked at the authors that you represent, and I kept clicking load more, and it didn't stop. So you have a lot of folks working with you, and you've also won several major book awards. So again, you've been busy, well, since well beyond 2010, but since founding the company, you've continued to press on. And I hope that means it's good news and that things are going well.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's. I would say it's funny to hear you talk about it. It's been a really interesting journey. I mean, 2002, I was on a motorcycle lost in Baja, and on assignment. I was working, and it just hit me. I'm like, I could be sitting working for somebody, or I could be out here doing this. And so that's what led me down this path. And I did do a lot of amazing things. I traveled all over the world on a motorcycle on assignments, telling stories. And I still, that's still the thing that drives me, but is making photos and telling a story. I just love doing that. And every day I wake up, I get to do that and make a living. I figure I'm pretty lucky. I'm pretty happy about that.
And you've got two very important skills, which is photography and writing. There are great authors out there. There are great photographers out there. So you're also kind of fortunate to be blessed with those two skills and can bring those together. I'm
really lucky. I really, I've been around long enough to know, I'm not the world's best at any of these things. I maybe could lay a claim to world's best tractor photographer. So there's a couple of guys that might argue with me.
Or world's most famous, maybe.
But maybe that one. Yeah. There's a couple things I might be able to plant my flag on. But I am able to do a lot of different things. And that, everybody gets something, right? Everybody gets hit with some stick. And that was the one. I'm pretty flexible. So yeah, that allowed me to do things. I did end up, I'll tell you, I became a photographer. I was going to be a writer. I was going to be an engineer. And then my physics professors were like, no,
that's not what you are.
Let's not do that. And so then it was writing, and I was always a good writer. It just came to me. And one of my writing professors said, look, photographers are flakes. So you're going to get an assignment. She's a freelancer, and she really wanted us to be able to freelance if we wanted to. She said, you're going to get an assignment. The photographer is going to go out the night before and get drunk or get lost or just decide he doesn't want to do it, or she not show up. And you need to be able to take a picture so that you can go back to that editor and say, hey, I've got it. And maybe it's not, perfect, but hey, there's pictures of the whatever. So I took a photography class, and I'll be damned if I wasn't half good at it. So that was kind of a surprise. And and now I'm pretty sure that if you ask readers, the photography might be what they know more than the writing. Right. So where I was going with all this, though, is, that's what the drive was. And then 5 or 6 or 8 years ago, Octane Press just got its own life. My time working as a book editor meant people would come to me with all these great ideas, and we started publishing these books. And there's a lot of books we do, especially in motorsports. I really don't do anything in that niche. And we have some just amazing photographers and subjects. We have a new book on AJ Foyt that's just phenomenal. The writer, it's 650 pages. It's not even AJ's entire career. Fantastic book, fantastic topic. And those have really become a big part of what keeps this business going, keeps my people paid, all those good things. So I don't spend, my whole life now, I got in this journey. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna be writing and taking photos. Well, I run a business. So I spent a lot of time doing a lot of other things. This Snoopy book, I really wanted to get back to my roots, which was telling just a great story. And like Farmall Century, that's a lot of intense detail about models and things. This just followed the flow of the story. And it was so refreshing and so much fun to do. So anyway, as you're talking, that sort of popped up.
Yeah. So I think it's also neat because you're really providing a service to, I don't want to make this overinflated, but it's a service to mankind that you're capturing this history. And so many times, if somebody hadn't done something like what you're doing, it could very easily be lost. And you've got such a niche here with these stories that you really are, people are going to look back long after you and I are gone and say, my gosh, thank goodness that Lee and Octane Press preserved these stories and these pictures. And
yeah, and that's total chicken and the egg. So by the way, I saw a title question. We are going to have to talk about that, but that's total chicken and the egg, because my job, especially as more and more you become, look, I'm making a living, I'm writing to make a living. My job is to find an audience that is underserved and needs their stories told. And this tractor thing came up years ago, and I knew about it, and it was good. And one of the things that I'm super proud of that has been very, very rewarding is we've interviewed hundreds of people who were part of the industry and had stories to tell, and preserve those stories, put those stories in books, and we've even captured their transcripts, and those will eventually go into archives. So it's wonderful to do that. It's a privilege for me to do that. It's my job for me to do that, because if I don't tell stories somebody cares about, I don't eat. So it's a two-edged sword, really.
Yeah. But the cool thing is your job is also your passion. So that, when you achieve that in life, you've kind of made it. If you can fulfill your passion and earn a living from it, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, and there's so much there. When I told the Steiger story in Red Four-Wheel Drive Tractors, that's one of the great stories in the industry. That three guys in a garage start building a machine, and it becomes a worldwide company. And that company so many times should have failed, right? Should have fallen apart, but it didn't, because somebody walked in the door, the right business showed up, the right people. It's just an unbelievable story, because it's so unlikely to found a heavy equipment industry. I feel like my journey was pretty similar. I had the right tools and the right people, but there was a bunch of moments. There was a time in my life I was trying to get to New York and go be an editor there. If I had succeeded in making that jump, I'm sure I would be there. I'm pretty sure I'd be miserable, but that's where I would be. I didn't have to have my own business, but I did for a variety of reasons. And honestly, I just feel really privileged. I like doing what I do, and it worked. So, but man, oh man, those journeys, they could go wrong.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to talk about this book.
Yeah.
The book is called Snoopy and the Spy. It's a beautiful book. It's a hardcover, 144 pages. Has pictures, which I always appreciate. And it's goes with all the other books you've produced. It's just an attractive book, but I'm really interested in the story, because I think you're kind of onto something here that maybe I'd like to hope that this is really big for you, because to me, anytime the title of a book or the cover of a book has the word espionage right on the title, that gets you immediately. And and you see this picture of a tractor, and it says a saga of espionage, ingenuity, and the epic battle to save International Harvester. But like espionage, like what's that about? It really does kind of get you going. So let's, if you don't mind, we can answer some questions here, because you mentioned that you saw a question ready. I think that was from Linda here. Why the title Snoopy and the Spy? And so we can answer that. I do want to also mention that Chris from Watershed Overlook has been posting links that people can click on to watch your intro video to get to your website. Great. So thank you, Chris. Chris is one of my moderators here on the live stream. But Chris, I'm going to promote you to producer, because you've been doing such a great job. And Chris, I'm even going to double your pay. How about that? Do the math, Chris. Do the math. Anyway,
I appreciate Chris too. Yeah. The back.
Yeah, we do appreciate. So Linda's asking why the title. So that was one of the first things I thought of too. So tell us about that.
It's the perfect launch question. So, and it really goes back to why this book. So a year and a half ago, maybe a year ago, it was close to a year ago. We were wrestling. I really wanted to do something a little more contained. I wanted to do something that was dramatic and fun to read. And like I said earlier, that really goes back to kind of college when I started what this is about. So I just started looking at all the things I'd done and looked for what's interesting. And I started thinking, okay, I want a small time period, because when there's a small time period, you can tell a great story. I need a great character. I need really interesting events. And what I settled on was, there's this guy, Bud Ewell, who's kind of the main character of the book. Bud Ewell is a sales guy for International Harvester. He was a sales executive. And he took on the 2+2 was his baby. 2+2 is that very unusual looking tractor on the cover. It's an articulated 4-wheel drive, had a long nose, was given the nickname Snoopy by John Deere, incidentally. Yeah, that's on the cover.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it's a derogative. Snoopy is a derogative for it. Though the users just kind of picked it up. They'd call it Snoopy or Anteater, whatever. It worked great. It was very innovative technology. So, but Bud Ewell is out. This tractor was his baby, and this tractor was helping keep International Harvester from failing. The wolves were at the door for International Harvester in this time period. So Bud learns that Deere is coming out with an answer in 1982. This tractor appeared in early 79, 82. Deere is going to come out with, they're making an articulated, or a four-wheel drive, a front-wheel assist tractor. So it's a rear-wheel drive tractor with mechanical front-wheel drive that could be a competitor. He's dying to get a look at it. He finds out they're doing a dealer introduction. So when tractor companies put a new machine out, they do a dealer introduction. And sometimes they're a huge gala. In this case, they rented the Louisiana Superdome and bring all the dealers in, only John Deere dealers, and show them their new machinery and tell them all the advantages. Bud decides he wants to be there. He takes off all his IH stuff, puts on some plain clothes,
puts green hat on.
Yeah, walks through security. I talked to people about the time because I'm like, how do you get in? Like, you're supposed to have a pass, and there was people, but they're like, wow, it's kind of crowded. If you sort of slid in, you get in. Goes to the top of it's the Superdome. There's a bar at the top. Goes to this bar, sits at the bar, and listens to listens to this intro. And it's just such a great story. And he gets caught. And it's a mess of epic proportions. The two CEOs of Deere and IH end up having to speak about this because he had really violated a lot of rules. So that's really where the book starts, is him walking in. And then we go back to 78, what led us here. And then we talk about all the other kind of accepted espionage that went on. Sneaking into a launch, that was considered a no-no. And everybody was upset about that. IH and Deere, they were upset with Bud. But all kinds of other things, taking machines apart in parking lots, sneaking photos, commissioning airplanes to fly over test grounds and see. This one guy in it uses a dune buggy to get into a canyon where they were testing a cotton harvester. It's so much fun. All these, farm engineers are sneaking around at night trying to get the intel on what the competition
is. This makes Watergate sound like baby stuff. And it's the tractor industry.
Yeah, tractor industry, Watergate. Yeah.
And people would think, oh, tractors, that's a friendly market. And you wouldn't, people wouldn't think about the competitiveness behind the scenes that's going on there.
I realized I didn't answer the question. So,
oh yeah, thank you.
Once what led, I'd saying all these pieces. I'm like, all right, here I've got all these pieces to tell a great story. So this is the story I want to tell. I want to use the Superdome. I want to talk about all the espionage and fun things. And then we started working on titles. I will tell you, the list of titles we had is about 400 miles long. And at some point we got to something that was much longer. And literally one night I was fiddling with the cover and the type and I pulled out some words because there were some other things in it. And it was just Snoopy and the Spy. And everybody was like, that rolls off the tongue. And it makes you want to know what is it. So it's a little risky because it doesn't have tractor in it. It doesn't have ag, but I don't know. I love that title. So we're going to see. A year from now, ask me, maybe I'll go, God, I hate that title. I didn't sell 5 books.
I think you did answer it because, so this particular machine was nicknamed Snoopy?
Yes. And there's the literal, yes. So Snoopy is this tractor.
And the gentleman that snuck into John Deere was the Spy.
Bud Ewell. Yeah. So it's about Bud Ewell in the tractor.
Yeah. So, and now, do people who, I'm talking about farmers, people in the industry, would they know that this tractor was called Snoopy? Like, is that a thing?
A lot of them would. You'd have to be in it. A lot of Anteater would know, but anybody that sees that picture is going to know the 2 + 2 and know what it was. And I felt if you knew it was a tractor, you had the subtitle and you knew it was, kind of the industry at that time, and your eye got drawn in, that was enough. because then you're gonna, hey, it's ag industry and it's fun, it's espionage. If those things speak to you, then you're a reader. If you follow me, that's the decoding to get them.
And for what it's worth, average person, me, seeing that for the first time, it caught my attention immediately. So from that perspective, I can tell you that it works, because I'm not familiar with big ag tractors, but I've seen that. I recognize that tractor. And then the title, it caught me right away. So,
and the book's written so you don't have to know any of this stuff. It was written so it introduces, even down to color. So all the kind of things that our normal reader would just understand, we don't have to explain, are explained. Here's how the industry worked. Here's where IH was, and here's where John Deere was. Here's, the interplay of what's going on. And it also helps you understand the farm crash of the 80s, which was a big deal, why International Harvester failed. There's just a lot in this little thing, but it's all written so you don't have to know much about this topic. Hopefully you've been on a farm once in your life, and hopefully the 1980s were kind of tough, and the rest will be in the book for you to read and learn and understand.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned, well, spoiler alert, International Harvester doesn't make tractors anymore. So, right?
Right. They become Case IH. So they don't entirely go up. By the way, Margaret, I've gotten that one too. She said, I thought Charlie Brown. And true enough. And hey, if all the Charlie Brown people buy a book, we're good.
There's no Snoopy in here. What's going on?
But yeah, International Harvester in 1984, their ag division gets sold to Tenneco, which is a big oil company that also happened to own J.I. Case, mainly because they bought land, and they got J.I. Case with the land. They bought some land in California and threw in a tractor company. But the owner of Tenneco, James Kettleman, was a former farmer, had a soft spot for the ag industry. Tenneco had money coming out of their ears because of oil at that time. So they were dumping money into Case, and then they combined J.I. Case and International Harvester to create Case IH, a brand that lives on today. So, the red tractors do exist, but International Harvester as an independent entity, gone and fails. And in the book, you'll see the writing is on the wall that they are by 1980, 1981. Everybody knew that thing was going to fail.
Yeah.
So, which I'm just going to roll because that touches on one of the big themes of the book. A serious theme in the book was Bud Ewell and his compatriots at International Harvester. As you get deeper into this book, they know their company's failing. They are confronted with it, and the headlines were just horrifying. You can now very easily look day to day in newspapers, and I did that to take myself back through kind of their day by day. What's going on every week. If you were an International Harvester employee at that time, something unbelievably terrible happened. They got sued by John Deere for a cornhead violation. They had stolen a patent, and Deere. This ties into the espionage. Deere won the lawsuit mainly because one of the IH engineers went to the John Deere Experience Center and took a measuring tape and a notebook and measured the cornhead, and they all got it on video. So they showed it in court. But it was a time where all these things were happening to International Harvester. And where I was going with this is these people were faced with really, difficult dark times. Their job was going to go away. A brand many of them were very, very passionate about the company, and their users are very, very passionate about the company, and they still fought and went full. Especially Bud. The things he did, he was just full gas. He was a former Marine, and his attitude was charge up that hill. And I found as I worked with this and got to know Bud, that's pretty powerful. I feel like, we're all going to be faced with times that are hard and things that, are difficult. And there's some inspiration in what Bud did,
That's fascinating. So let's talk some more, but I do want to mention that if you're just joining us, we're talking to Lee Klancher. founder of Octane Press, author, photographer, publisher. Most recent book is Snoopy and the Spy, and that's the book that we're talking about right now. And I do want to also mention, stick with us, keep watching, because we're going to do a giveaway before we end this live stream. And you're going to give away one of these books. And we also have a discount code for anybody who doesn't win the book. You can still get one. And Lee has provided a discount code that we're going to share that a little bit later too. So thank you for that, Lee. I want to jump back now. You were talking about the era of the 80s.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, there's some kind of fun 80s things in this book. Can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely.
Let people know what to look for.
So this book, it was, I have to say, this was so much fun for me. So as I was doing it, I just immersed myself in 80s culture. So, and this is a thing, there's definitely writers that do it. So I was listening to 70s and 80s music. I was watching movies, any kind of, my friends,
era, right? You gotta,
to absorb the era, because I wanted the book to feel like the time.
Right.
So several things we did then with the work to take you back. One is every image, and this was kind of a tough one for me. I'm a photographer. I don't think there's a single photo of mine in the book. Every image is from the time. So as you page through, you are going to see either ads and materials, memorabilia like buckles and things, or even we have these wonderful photos of photographers who photograph farmers from the time, and they're incredibly powerful. And also newspaper stuff, but everything's from the period. As we structured it, we made sure all the chapter heads, not every single one, but almost every one, is a Easter egg of sorts. So Don't Stop Believing is one of the chapter titles.
Okay.
And
Nice.
Journey Song, right? So when you look at the book, look at I'm kind of assuming everybody that buys this lived through the 80s. I mean, we'll have a few that maybe were young in the 80s or, were born later. But the music, certainly, you should pick it up.
Right.
And that was just so much fun. Trying to tie, I would spend hours looking at lists of the hit songs of the 80s to remind me of this stuff, and then go, okay, how's that tie to what's happening in this chapter?
That's fun. I love that. I really do. That's something to look for as well. So, and all this is tying your early journalism studies together. This is a sort of a documentary in print about this time and about this.
Yeah. And there's a style of storytelling as well that I use that also comes from college and something I've done my entire career. And all the books have this, which is called narrative nonfiction. And all that means is it's nonfiction, it's real. And every detail has to be real to do that right. Not everybody does. I mean, all the big ones do it, but there are people that will mess around with that. You have to be very careful. You can't talk about how someone feels, right? You don't know.
Right.
But you can only talk about what can I find in a document. But it should read like fiction. So as you read it, it's more about the moment, and you'll read about the weathers and smells and things like that. You have to, as a journalist, go find evidence of those things. And it's all heavily footnoted, which is a little geeky, but I wanted people to know this is real and this is where this came from. But it reads, so it's fun to read. It's engaging. It unfolds as a story. It has a beginning, a middle, has dramatic moments, and then an end. But it's all sourced from actual events.
Right.
And there's a number of writers that do this very, very well and have some, Eric Larson being the most notable. He just did a book called Demons of Unrest, but he's done a bunch of books in this style. So the book uses a distinct style that I learned about in college and I've done my entire career.
Now, do you have a particular place in your heart for red tractors? Because your book's about Farmall, and Farmall was international, or I'm not sure how but International Harvester owned Farmall, right? Or vice versa. And
they did. They are the ones that created Farmall. So Farmall was one of that company's always had a very, very tortured relationship with brands. They formed as a giant merger, and that was a mess, and they kept all the brands. And then through the years, they have had a lot of brands. Farmall is an International Harvester brand. it was the first successful general purpose tractor introduced 1922-23. And one of the, most iconic brand names in that business, but it was all owned by International Harvester.
Right. So your attraction to red tractors comes from where?
My attraction comes. So the first book assignment I got was to write about farm-all tractors. I wasn't a tractor. I was a I wanted fast things, and I was young. I was like 28 when I got the assignment. So they said, "Hey, would you write about tractors? We think your narrative style and knowing nonfiction and all that would be good. We were making all these books. We think you could write some good books." And I'm sure I was cheap too. I was young, but I had made a name for myself at the university. This was right after that.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, sure, I'll do that. And I went out and I said, before I do it, I just want to check it out. So I went to a tractor show and I took my camera, kind of wandered around. I was taking a picture of an old farm-all tractor. I got in real close to take a detail shot. It was beat to hell, and which I kind of love. I love weather and authenticity. And the smell. My grandfather was a gearhead. My dad was not. My dad was a baseball player. He didn't care about machines. He didn't mind them, but it wasn't his thing. But I was a big gearhead. My grandfather was. He and I were close. He bought me, he gave me his snowmobile. And there was just a lot of gearhead connections between us. And he had tractors. He was a farmer. That smell just brought my grandfather back.
Yeah.
And that was a connection to my family. I was pretty moved by that. As I got to know and write more about it, I understood that tractors, so motorcycles are great, right? I love them. They're interesting. Lots of fascinating things about them. They didn't change our world the way a tractor did.
Mm-hmm.
The tractor means, I love to say the tractor created the internet, which I can talk about that if you want, but the tractor really changed our world. Mechanized agriculture means you and I can be doing this live stream thing. We would never do it if 80% of us were out there gathering food all day. We wouldn't have this. So I really fell in love with the whole thing. And then I got to know the audience and the people. And now I know the people who created this. And I'm just so tied to it now that it's a part of me. So, but it didn't really come from, okay, I'm in love with red tractors. It came organically as I just learned more and more.
Yeah.
And there's just so much heritage stories. I love it.
And you mentioned the that smell brought you back. And I've always heard that's our strongest sense to bring back memory is our sense of smell. And that's true. I have the same experience. If I walk into an old house, it's like, oh, that was Uncle Paul's, the smell of Uncle Paul's house, or a certain type of bush or tree brings you back to a certain time. So it is pretty amazing how that works. You're being compared here a little bit to the Ken Burns on paper. Maybe Ken Burns is the Lee Klancher.
That's the second time I've heard it, and it's my favorite comparison ever. So thank you so much.
It's quite a compliment, right?
It's a lovely thought. I wish I had as many readers as he does, but
well, got to start somewhere, Lee.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that as well.
Now, speaking of red tractors, I want to make folks know that Lee is not biased toward red, because tell us about the cover of this book.
That's right.
Pretty fun.
So yes, and I've done a big book on John Deere, and I'm not. I like all that, but one of the things we understand, and it's explained in the book, is that if you're red, you're red, and that's for the farmers. That is a very, very deep identity thing. And if you're green, you're green, meaning red you like IH, green or Case IH, and green you like your John Deere. So we knew, hey, with this, we better make sure we cater to these readers. And our fantastic editor, Faith Garcia, was out looking at books, as we all do, being book freaks. And she saw one that had a double-sided jacket, meaning this piece of paper right here is the jacket. Well, you can print on both sides, right? So we printed on the back side a green John Deere cover, so you can flip it around, and if you're green, you don't have to have some awful red thing in your coffee table.
There you go.
Or even the spine, even if it's on your shelf, you'll see green. So it's got a
That's fun.
Reversible cover. That's a really fun.
Or you can buy 2 copies and have them laying side by side on your coffee table.
You could. I see Linda's got I do have a little. I could tell a little story about riding motorcycles and why I'm doing this.
Oh, about your revelation in 2002 and your
Yeah,
epiphany
I love talking about that. So 2002, I'm in the book industry. I just got into management. It was hell. I'm not going to go into that anymore. And I got a magazine assignment to go to Baja. And actually, I think I cooked it up. 3 of us went. We rode motorcycles out of San Diego all the way to the tip of Baja, taking pictures and writing about that experience. At that time, especially, a lot of people were going down and do that. And we talked about, how do you do this on your own? What's it like? What do you see? So we laid out our own itinerary. We didn't have guides, just 3 of us, guys from the Midwest on motorcycles with some stuff on the back. And on the second day, we went down kind of in the middle on the west side, which there's no roads. And I had a friend who was a guide who I talked to, and he said, it's fine. He said, there's a road that goes through. I said, there's nothing on the map. He said, it's fine. It's a road. Well, we get on it and the road splits and splits and splits and splits. And we keep going left, right. And pretty soon we're lost. We had enough gas for 100 miles. It was a 90-mile ride. We spent 30 miles doing circles. So we're out of gas. We drive her all over. We see a guy in a Toyota truck driving, and we catch him and flag him down and have a very little bit of Spanish. And I said, necesito gasolina. That's about all I can say. He says, basically, follow me. We follow him. We go to this little town, buy gas. We make it to where we're supposed to be, get out of there. But we are rattled. We were scared out of our mind. So, and we'd have been okay. There's people out there, but this is a very, very remote place. We'd been lost. There was, we saw 4 cars probably the whole day. And so at the end of the day, we should have stopped, went to our hotel. We didn't. We kept riding. We rode the most difficult. We just were like, well, we'll just keep going, we really forgot about the hotel. The next leg we go over, there's a mountain in the middle of Baja. We go over the mountain. It's rough as hell. And so we rode until about 10 o'clock at night. And as we're coming down the mountain, we were on the Pacific side and we crossed over to the Bay of California, the sun's setting. And it is one of the most beautiful sunsets I've seen in my life. And we stopped to just kind of take it in and take pictures. We're all just dead too, because the ride was brutal. Looking at this beautiful blue-green water, gorgeous sunset. We're next to a church. I have photos of the moment. And it was the next day, but that night, that moment hit me in a way that was so powerful. And the next day, actually 2 days later, we were riding to the next place and it was kind of chill and I could think. And I'm like, this is it. I want to do this. I want to, and it's like, of course you want to do that. That's great, right? But I want to have these experiences. I don't want to sit behind a desk and, just do the other things I had to do for a full-time job.
Yeah.
And it took me a good solid 5 years of work to build up a freelance business to the point that I could actually quit my day job. The people at the place I worked were great. They let me cut 4 days and slowly sort of back out of it and get my freelance business going. Tremendous amount of work. I don't think I've done, I don't know, starting a company was also tough. But that moment it just changed my life. So yeah.
And it was, I mean, you kind of had the passion, but it confirmed it. You could have walked away saying, get me out of here, get me back to my desk. I don't ever want to do this again. But instead you embraced it and you really found yourself there. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. And I'd say one thing that I realized is I'm happier taking chances, seeing new things, having, not crazy adventures, but more adventurous than kind of plodding along in a day job. And that, that really suited me for business too. Book business is sort of the Wild West as well. So it just sort of helped me figure out, okay, what works for me. Yeah,
that's got to be a little challenging because I mean, all industries have changed, but print certainly has changed over the years with the internet that you talked about. The it's been maybe a blessing and a curse because you have more exposure through the internet, but then you have more competition through the internet. So it's tough. But
It's a business where, you know, you're making a product hoping people will like it, and your success every time depends on people like it. Somebody once explained to me, and I think it's a great way to look at the book business. Every time you do a new book, you're starting a new business. Just think of it that way. And if you think, because they're never the same, it's not you know, it's not making underwear. It's not, okay, we did this, and it succeeds. There are things you can do, but each product has to be unique, has to be right for the audience, has to be marketed perfectly, has to be timed right, and has to be luck. So Random House, you know that name, right? Book publisher.
another name. Yep.
Do you know why it's called Random House?
I have no idea. Is this a fun fact?
It's a fun fact. Book sales are random.
Ah, there
That's
you go.
why they couldn't figure out, you know, 150 years ago when they found a Random House, they couldn't figure out why a bestseller happens, and that hasn't changed. So that's a part of this business that you better embrace it. You better be like, all right, let's see, what are we going to do? Let's take a risk.
Well, that makes
You don't do
perfect
that,
sense because you've got a background in science and journalism, but now you're working in art, and art, I think, is like that. You think about uh, a movie, a TV show, a song. They don't know which one is going to hit, and
No.
you know there have been some great ideas that haven't worked, and it's even narrowing it down to something small like a YouTube channel. You know, as a content creator, I go through this all the time where I'll make a video and I don't know if it's going to be a hit with the audience, with the algorithm. I've got some videos that I have not put as much effort into and they skyrocket, and other videos I work my tail off thinking this is really a well-made video and it doesn't go anywhere. And you just, so it's, again, it's art and science, but you don't really know which, you never know what's going to work. And I love that you said it's writing a new book or writing a book is starting a new business every time, because you just really don't know.
No, you don't. And I really think for all of us that are creators, that the important, it becomes so important to dig in, you know, look within and go, hey, this, you know, I care about this. I think this is interesting. And, you know, let's put that out there and hope that other people should. I do love that. I saw
Good
that
idea, John.
That's
Random
wonderful.
dude is very right. Very
Random
true.
dude. Very well. And my God, think of the number. I mean, there's a lot of books. And there's a lot of talk about the number of books. It used to be 2,500 books a year. I'm sure it's more now. And, you know, like a very small percentage of them make money. How many YouTube channels start every year, you know? Oh my God. Does anyone know that?
Thousands. And, you know, there are several that are monetized, but it just, we're all striving, you know, to make that hit. Nice compliment from Chris here, our producer. He's been taking a look at the book online, and I agree, Chris. Really nice graphic design layout. Looks fun to look at. And again, I love pictures, so
we really wanted a different look for it, and we used a new designer, Lindsay Dodaro, who I want to call out. And she really, I really didn't know. I said, here's the material I have. Here's the feel we want, and it's got this folksy kind of country feel. Let me show the openers in particular. So each chapter, can you see this?
As soon as I leave that, there we go.
I'm sorry with the glare. Each chapter opens with these collages, and the collages look like they're a different part of Bud Ewell's house. Is the idea this would be his bulletin board, and they're all little items from that time. So that's really fun. And then each of the quotes have these little wear, and they look like they're posted on.
Yeah.
So it's really, I'm really, thank you for calling that out, because she did a really wonderful job and really created that, you know, brought up her vision to this book.
Yeah. Is Bud still living?
Bud passed away. Bud passed away about 3 years ago. So Bud had, we had interviewed Bud, and Bud was extremely vocal. So we had 5 hours plus of tape of him talking about the time.
Yeah.
And also he was very active after he retired, speaking at The Red guys in particular, the IH fans, get together at these events called Red Power Roundup, and he would speak, and they recorded those. So those existed. So there was a lot of material from him, and a lot of detail, and a lot of his his stories, and he's so quotable. When he first sees Snoopy the tractor, he said that's the ugliest thing God ever made. He said, "But we're going to have to find a way to sell it." But
That's funny.
Very colorful. So his stories existed, and that was one of the things we used to create the book.
Wow, and that's great that you did get to talk with him and interview him, and
yeah,
to not just write this from secondhand stories.
Yeah, I actually was on a panel discussion with him. I had organized it. I was the moderator, and I was on it with a couple of friends of mine who were IH engineers. And there was 5 of us in front of the room, big room, because it was about the 2+2, and he especially was very popular. And I think I did my little intro. Maybe Jerry said something. We turned it over to Bud, and then Bud talked for 90 minutes.
He just took over.
And Jerry and I sat there and we're like, "Well, hey, it's great stuff. This is easy for us."
Easiest moderator job you ever had, right? Just let him roll. So, well, the book is Snoopy and the Spy. It's Lee's latest book, available at Octane Press. Why don't we give one away, Lee?
Oh yeah, that sounds fun. That sounds fun.
Fun. So what we'll do, this is for the live chat only. If you're watching live, you can participate. If you're watching the replay, unfortunately, this is for the folks watching live. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, I'm going to share a phrase, a word or a phrase. You're going to type that in the live chat exactly the way you see it, and then we will draw randomly a winner, and we will give one of these books away. So let's do it. So in the live chat, type the simple phrase hashtag IHC. It can be all uppercase, it can be all lowercase. Doesn't matter if it's letter I, letter H, letter C, IHC, and we will randomly draw. And you could win one of these books. You can see how Jerry did it there.
Oh, there they go. Yep.
And Kent did lowercase. So just type it in there, and we'll give this a moment. We'll let this background music play out. We'll draw a winner live tonight. And by the way, the book comes out this week, right, Lee? On Friday. It's officially released on Friday.
It is. It just cleared customs this morning, so
Literally hot off the presses.
Yes, it doesn't get any hotter off the press. Yes, this is just hitting.
That is fun and available online bookstores, but your website, Octane Press, actually has the best price on this book.
We have the best price right now. There's a number of other tractor retailers that'll match our price. So if you are customers with them, they'll have the same price. But we're better than Amazon, and we're going to get it to you faster because it's going to hit our warehouse probably Friday. I would expect they'll start shipping Friday or Monday. And Amazon, it'll take a bit to get through their supply chain and get to everybody.
Okay. So through you or Amazon or other retailers.
Or anywhere. Your local bookstore, Case IH dealerships will have them eventually. I mean, we sell them anywhere books are sold.
Yeah, we definitely want to support the folks that carry your products.
You got it. Exactly. So as long as you get it, I'm happy.
Excellent. All right. Well, hashtag IHC to win a copy of Snoopy and the Spy. You have just a few moments left before we draw randomly. Can we get up to 30 entries? Right now you have a 1 in 27 chance of winning. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. Yeah,
right?
That's you don't get that one every day.
All right. Well, we might be done at 27.
All right.
All right. I'm going to hit the draw button here as soon as I get to the page. Well, there it is. 28. Well, we're going to do it.
All right. Well, that's cool.
Joe Meehan.
All
Congratulations, Joe, man.
Congrats, Joe.
You are the winner of a copy of Snoopy and the Spy. So here's what we'll do, Joe. You can send me an email, and I will forward this to you, Lee, once we have the winner's information.
You bet.
But Joe, send me your mailing address to my email address, contactmcgtv@gmail.com. Let me know that you were the winner of the book giveaway tonight. And again, I will forward your information to Lee, and Lee will work all his magic behind the scenes and get a copy of the book to you. How's that sound?
And judging from his Facebook profile, Joe's the real deal. Joe.
Oh, good catch. Look at that.
Yeah. He's got an old farm all on
the old farm all there.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, Joe's going to love this book.
Yep. That's perfect. So.
That's exciting. And for everyone else, I do want to mention that Lee has generously provided a discount code available through the Octane Press website. So it's octanepress.com.
Yep.
If you want to order this book, can you order now, or do you have to wait until Friday?
No, we have it live.
Okay. So you can,
and there's a coupon code screen as you check out.
Okay, so there's a coupon code screen, and if you enter code MCG, you'll get a 15% discount.
Yep.
Now, will that apply to just this book or anything that they buy from the store?
Anything on the site. So
excellent.
Whatever you see you like, go ahead.
Thank you for that. That's really generous. So for anyone who is not Joe, the winner, if you would like a copy of the book or any of the other books available on octanepress.com, enter code MCG at checkout and you'll get 15% off. So that is very exciting. Excellent. Well, Lee, thanks so much for sharing this with us. I am really looking forward. I've not read the book. I'm going to get a copy myself, and I'm really looking forward to having it. I wish you well with it. Like I said, from a person on the outside looking in, I think it looks intriguing, and I think it's going to do well for you. I really do.
I hope so. It's certainly been a joy to put together. So yeah, it'll be fun to see it. It's wonderful now. I love this part of it, getting out.
Well,
so
please do keep in touch with me. Let me know how things go once it hits the streets, and I'd love to know how things are going, and we can certainly bring it up on another live stream. Love to have you come back again. It doesn't have to be next time you publish a book. We can have you back to talk about this book some more, or talk about your other books. It's always fun to talk with you, Lee.
It's a real pleasure. So absolutely, yeah. Thank you for having me on. It was a joy, and thanks for everybody. I really love this interaction thing.
It's fun, right? It's a lot of fun, and we have the world's best audience here. We come back every week and do this, and it's a lot of the same people. We have some new people every week, but it's our weekly get together. It's a great way to start at the week. We do it on Monday evenings, and it always, to me, I always say it feels like a Friday night when I'm here doing this. Then I realize, oh, it's Monday evening. But what a great start to the week. So we have a great time, and having folks like you join us makes it that much better. So thanks so much.
It's great.
All right, Lee. Have a great night, and appreciate you being here. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight with Lee Klancher. That was a fun conversation, and I genuinely do think that looks like a fun book to have. So if you're interested, remember to use code MCG at checkout. And that's just a gift for you. You know, the channel gets nothing from that. We just want to help Lee promote that book. We want to make sure that you have interesting and fun reading material out there. So I think it's really a good fit for the channel. And the holidays are coming up too. So what a perfect time to order that book. So I do hope you have a great week. I want to thank you for being here each and every Monday night. It's always so much fun. It really is. So, well, we should be here next week. So come back next Monday, which is whatever the date is, 7 days from now. But have a great week. And as always, I look forward to seeing you next time.